Greetings and God bless. I was wondering about a lot of different places I've lived the past few years. I'd be downtown, and there were all these nice apartment buildings, or okay apartment buildings, really nice homes in prime locations, and nobody was ever there. And so the places I was living were kind of like B level, or C level, like kind of sub optimal cities. It wasn't New York or San Francisco. uh it- and I just noticed like all these vacant places. And so I've been hearing that real estate companies, like international real estate companies, just buy properties. They don't have to rent it out. I guess they get some type of insurance compensation for, just owning it, or just not renting it. But it's just so unfair, because a lot of cities, even these not so great, kind of podunk cities, there's not a lot of housing in at all anywhere. And whenever there's new development, it goes to, they become $300,000 condos that only a certain demographic can afford. And, if there does happen to be like something, the population for, when it is some type of government housing, it's like, it's a really tortured kind of group of people. Like there's just a lot of really just it's not a good experience living in a government kind of housing kind of thing. And I just wanted to say, like, if people do have like their second homes and their third homes and their fourth homes and their fifth homes in a prime location, like, it's really not nice. Like, if you have a mansion in a prime location, rent it out. If you're never there, if the weather is like really nice just one month out of the year, let people rent it, in my opinion. And I just think it's so cruel, that like people in Norway or whatever, China, have bought prime real estate in major cities, and it's not being rented, or it's just like millionaires have to, are the only people who can afford renting. Like, it's the circumstances people are subjected to, it just doesn't seem to make sense, like, on so many levels. But I've just been wanting to um, talk about that. And because I remember, in the 90s, there'd be like places for rent, and it was just never rented out. And prime locations. So I think that there is some sort of weird motivation to not rent something. And I think people must get some sort of compensation, uh, even if they don't rent their property. And I really think that that is kind of unethical. I don't think a city should allow that to happen. I don't know if I'm right about saying that. I mean, if you do buy, property, it's yours. But if you're never there, like, if you're there one day out of the year, and you're kind of just interfering with like 50 people that could, have a place to live. um Maybe not 50 people, but I wonder what the solution is, because people who are renting, they don't have a whole lot of reserves. They can't put $50,000 or even $20,000 down payment on a house, much less deal with the new problems, the problems that the pre-existing problem they didn't know about, like a new water heater or broken window or something like that. And much less get that tended to properly, because there's just all sorts of weird scams that go on and everything. So I don't know. I don't know what is right about that. I mean, because I do believe in private property and stuff, but if you're like just a millionaire that never uses this place, and the thing is, it's not just one house I'm talking about. Like I've been where there's like blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks, are mostly with lights out and at night, no cars there. Often where it's like a ghost town. And like when this is a trend, so of course, one person, but when everybody's doing it, when everybody has their second, third, fourth, fifth home, and so there's like all these neighborhoods that are vacant. Like I think that's not good for a city to have property that's kind of semi-abandoned or something. I mean, of course, the grass is fine, but anyways, I don't think that's good for a city, and certainly it's not a big thing that would happen in New York or San Francisco because there's just so much pressure. But maybe it does. I don't know. But I'm just saying, as a renter, it's really strange and eerie when there's just all these houses and apartments that are never occupied in prime locations. Like, what is up with that, and why? And I guess I know why. I mean, it's just somebody doesn't need to rent it, but it's just really it's really a burden when somebody's not like, okay, if it's yours, live there though, use it. Like don't just buy 10 houses and just never use it. Like just leave it empty, like it's just so mean, like, isn't it? I mean, I have 10 mansions in a nice neighborhood, walking distance, and it's just there for me to know I have it. Like I just don't understand that mentality, which is why I'm not a millionaire with 10 houses that I don't use. But anyways, that's just kind of something that's really bugged me about cities, and I wanted to see if anybody has any other understanding. I know like investors purchase houses, investors internationally purchase property, but it just doesn't make sense to not rent it out. It seems to me that that's the case. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but it seems like a lot of nice properties in prime locations are not occupied. And yeah, you can find a place out in the boonies, but like I want to live downtown. I want to live walking distance. And so the only people that can afford those places that's walking distance in a nice town are these, really expensive places. But it's so weird when people don't even like use it. Like they own, somebody owns it, but they're not using it. And yeah, I mean, like part of me is like, somebody should squat there. Of course, that's not nice, and my friends who own homes would think I'm jerky for saying that. But I just don't understand why so many people seem to do this. They buy property and don't live it. live there, and like the streets, the neighborhood is like vacant. It's like spooky. Uh and it's kind of depressing. Like I like a lot of people, and like when this brings me to is like, where did everybody go? Because in the 90s, in the 80s, there's a lot of people around. A lot of people. And when I was living in New York, when I was living in uh San Francisco, and I've lived other places too. Like DC was busy, and Massachusetts was fairly busy. I mean, that was pretty quiet compared to uh, New York, San Francisco, and DC. But it just seems like nobody's around, and it's like, where are people living? Like uh, and I have lived in these more sub standard cities, so I guess I can understand nobody's living. These people who own property in these substandard cities, they're all in New York or something. But when I watch videos, live streams of New York, there's not a whole lot of people walking in New York City. And maybe I'm just mistaken. Maybe I'm just getting the wrong snapshot. But I have wondered. I have looked on certain kind of bulletin boards, electronic bulletin boards, asking about where is everybody, because it just does seem like there's fewer people on Earth or in the United States than there were before. Like it seems like there's just become like fewer people. Um, and so I speculate, has it been all these chronic illnesses? I mean, oh, I haven't kept in touch with every single person I've ever known, but people I've known since my 20s, I think for the most part, they're still around. Um, so and some of the more wild speculation in my mind is, is there another landmass? Some people will talk about hollow earth, or they talk about flat earth and other locations, or some people say that this is a simulation, all reality is a simulation, and were these people deleted? So anyways, I know I went really off, but I've just been wondering about people buying houses and not living in them, and like entire blocks, entire neighborhoods of like 20 houses, 30 houses, 40 houses, and like one light on. you know Ugh, like I don't want to live where nobody's around. Like I kind of like, I mean, unless I'm living out in the boonies, but if I'm living in a city, like I kind of want people around. If it's a city, I mean, it's a little spooky when it's just like I'm the only person in my house, um where there's just one other person. Like that's spooky to me. I prefer either being completely alone or there's like 50 other people around. So thank you for watching, and please let me know what you think about, are there more people around, less people around that you've observed? I know we could look up statistics, but since we can't really trust so much of what's formal data, I just wonder what people have to say. Thanks for watching.